So many of us. Hello and good afternoon and welcome. I am Amy Copeland, CEO of ICB, and I am in a room with virtually all of you, of course, and the wonderful Ian Phillips, Head of Partner Sales at Xero. How are you doing, Ian? Thanks for joining us on a Friday.
Well, good afternoon, Amy. It is always a pleasure. I'm doing really well, apart from the weather. It's a bit dreary.
I'm kind of enjoying the weather. Every time it really rains, I think it hardly ever really rains in England, does it?
Well, we've certainly benefited from long periods of dry weather, so maybe I should be thinking more about my plants in my garden.
What's your garden like? Are you a good gardener?
I'm a terrible gardener. Yeah, I'm an appalling gardener. I will do the bare minimum to make it look acceptable kind of gardener.
We don't have any flowers, I don't think, in our garden. Like everything else grows, all the green stuff grows in abundance, but then every flower I try to plant just never comes out. Sadly.
Yeah, I can't be trusted with houseplants. They do not last.
You need a monstera. You can't kill them. They survive. And all the what are they called? Succulents.
Okay, I should write all of this down.
You should write it down because there's some plants that you can ignore.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm excellent at, but I wouldn't be surprised if I still managed to beat the odds.
I would love to know what kind of plants everybody who's watching has got with them. Can you keep your plants alive? But really, obviously, the reason we're here today is to talk about the Bookkeepers Summit. So Xero is, as ever, our diamond partner at the summit, which we just love. And we've got the amazing Kate Hayward speaking on stage. Do you know what she's set to talk about this year?
I think that she's going to be talking about AI, which I think everyone is probably talking about, but not necessarily in the specific context of the bookkeeper's role in a world where advancements in AI are rapidly hitting us or due to hit us pretty soon. So I think that's going to be one definitely not to miss for people that are going on Monday.
And you know a thing or two about AI, don't you? I mean, I'm looking also at your cap, your small business written cap. I've got this frog in my throat. I don't know why. Because I've been thinking about how, there's a lot of talk about this kind of you're just gonna have to talk for me, Ian.
I can talk for you.
I haven't done that on purpose. This is one of my favorite.
Oh, lovely. I did dust off my Xero t-shirt for this as well to make sure that I was double on brand with my Britain cap as well. I guess if you were talking about AI, one of the things that has struck me recently is how interconnected all of the different headwinds and tailwinds that are facing small businesses and bookkeepers at the moment. So if you take MTD, which it would be remiss of me not to mention, MTD is
I've heard of it.
Pardon?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I'm glad I've heard you mention it as well. But I guess one of the challenges with MTD is around capacity for bookkeepers, I would say, and I guess that is potentially compounded by or compounds an issue around access to talent that I think exists. But then when you start to think about the impact that AI could have, it kind of starts to feel like it could be the solution to a lot of these problems. So I think AI is just starting to sort of join the dots between some of the big challenges and opportunities that exist for bookkeepers right now.
The reason I mention your hat is because I've been thinking a bit about this idea that actually companies aren't adopting AI as quickly as all the investors want them to. But actually, I kind of see that, the larger businesses have got all these governance issues. They've got change issues, got people issues. And actually, it's the small businesses that are better placed to be adopting this technology. And that's what we've kind of always said about bookkeepers. The reason Xero worked so well for them, and because the reason they're so highly digitized, is because they tend to be running slightly smaller businesses, and they're businesses that are set up around this need to, or this desire to work remotely, to be providing service to clients that you're not necessarily in the office with. So I think for them, this sort of AI thing is just such a no-brainer. But really, it's this opportunity for small businesses and micro businesses.
Well, I agree. And again, I think like another link back to MTD, we've been talking a bit internally about MTD is like a brand failure. It shouldn't be called Making Tax Digital. It should be called Making Business Digital or Making Bookkeeping Digital. Like, whilst it's there to help to bridge a tax gap, it's also there to try to boost our productivity. And like, the small business economy is significant. I think a lot of bookkeepers are part of that small business economy as well as serving it. And I agree with you. Like, the fundamental benefit to being smaller is that you're agile, and it's probably just you that can make the decision. I can understand, however, that the downside to being small is that you potentially got a bit less resilience in your in your business. And I think one of the things that stops the small business economy from moving forward at pace with things like adoption of technology is probably appetite for risk. And I of course would say, hey, this is like a really brilliant calculated risk, but I can understand potentially why people would look at it and say, yeah, it's probably a bit much for me right now.
So what kind of AI chat is Xero going to be giving us on Monday? Is it about Xero's AI?
So we've actually got a more product focused session. So Jess from our education team is talking on day one of the virtual summit, and we've actually just come off the back of a series of roadshows around the country, and
they looked amazing.
They were amazing. I think they were probably our best set of events for a long time, actually. And part of the reason for that is because we just had loads of amazing things to talk about. And I think a lot of it centered around AI capability. And that's this concept of taking JAX, so Just Ask Xero, which was kind of just something that small business owners could type and ask questions to when released in beta, into this like super agent. So we're just about to go live with a bunch of people with automated bank rec. So I think Jess will touch on that, and she'll also start.
That to many bookkeepers just sounds like a myth. Automated bank rec, just saying.
Well, look, I think that first of all, it needs the right checks and balances in place. So look, like, this isn't going to be like, hey, there's no work to do here, because I think that there will be instances that people don't want to turn that functionality on for whatever reason. There will also be the functionality within the product to kind of check those bank statement lines that have been reconciled to make sure that you're happy with the way that the system has treated them. But we're really confident of the level of accuracy, and we've kind of got a number of different ways that we determine how to treat transactions, whether it's based on like historical data, the Xero data set as a whole, and like, we're
confident.
We're feeling really good about it.
So I've got this concept for a sort of WrestleMania spin-off called Recalmania, where we just put some of these auto reconciliation softwares head to head in the ring and see which of them are the most accurate and the fastest.
Well, I think it's an interesting idea. We've actually talked for a while, and so occasionally we do this with individual partners who will say, I think I could do this more quickly in a spreadsheet, and we will send one of our lovely partner consultants to go and see them and to have a race on a job.
Nice.
And it's quite an effective way of proving that the technology works and it does deliver usually more efficiency than people expect. But yeah, like
I would imagine, yeah. But speed isn't everything.
Speed is not everything. Accuracy is as important as speed, particularly in the world of bookkeeping.
That's not more important.
Yeah, and you know, if it's not accurate, then it impacts the speed anyway, because you end up doing the work 2 or 3 times, right?
Oh, great. We've got somebody's in the comments there. I was worried. There's a little button that says stream to your audience. I'm sure it disappears usually, but so we are streaming, so that's good. That's reassured me. Thank you, Michal. Yeah, I know, that sort of idea of, if you have made an error, if something has been posted to the wrong place once, are you, sort of repeating the error potentially? And one of the things I think Bookkeepers are quite good at is being able to see what's a business expense and what's a personal expense. And is that, presumably, that's not involved in this auto?
Well, I think as well as learning from data sets, Jax will learn from the way that you treat transactions manually as well. So it will start to be able to say, okay, well, this has been coded to this clearing account for personal expenses or whatever. So it can definitely help.
I love the idea of the bookkeepers coming in there and sort of analysing what the AI tool has done, in the place of your subcontractor or your other bookkeeper who's working for you. So like, the AI becoming another member of staff. And that's why I think, the opportunity for the small businesses using AI is so great, because quite often people think about, it's labour replacing. But I think for big businesses, I went to a meeting and IBM said that they'd saved something, it was a ridiculous amount. I think it was like £4 million last year using AI. And I was just like, that's a human staff cost, isn't it? Basically, that you're saving. But I think the small businesses are actually able to do things that they wouldn't be able to afford to get a person to do. So that's kind of why it's exciting. It's just like, that's how I feel, sometimes ICB uses AI. It's not that we would have hired somebody to do that. It's just that now that we can do it in-house, which is quite exciting, which is why it seems so empowering, particularly for the very smallest of businesses. And so many of our bookkeeping firms are really small. They're one-person firms. And so a big firm for us is 100 clients or more. And one person can deal with 100 clients, especially if they're using something like Jax.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hopefully it is as much about augmentation as anything else. Otherwise, we are going to have profound structural issues within our economy and society, and that's
we definitely are, aren't we? There are going to be structures.
But just as an example of what you're talking about, I'm wearing my Small Business Britain cap, as you've pointed out, and I was delivering some content on their fantastic Small and Mighty program, which is a free program for small businesses, and it gives them a lot of the basic skills that they need to get up and running, not just finance related skills, but also legal, planning, resilience, that kind of thing. And one of the presenters was showing some tips about how to create some kind of marketing related content using AI. And in the chat, a few people that were content creators as professionals were quite unhappy that he was showing that and saying, hey, this is like taking away my livelihood. And I kind of think, well, if it is, like, that's a problem anyway, whether the guy on this course shows it or not. But B, actually, like, these people on this program would never go and hire a marketing agency to deliver something for them. It just allows them to kind of amplify their brand themselves, which is like an amazing thing, right?
One of the things I'm going to be talking about a bit on Monday at the Bookkeepers Summit is this concept of bookkeepers as the API. Bookkeepers are the integrators. And even if you have got all these amazing tools that do everything, I think small businesses still love that kind of trusted actual human that not only does this task well or this task well, actually does the job. gets the job done and has that understanding of how do you log into the bank, and have you paid the tax man? Have you paid your people? And I think that's what bookkeepers do so well, and why they are going to see this major, hopefully, uplift of if they can use AI. And I certainly can't see them, having their jobs taken off them, because you can't get the AI yet to have that, the overview, that complete understanding of the whole picture. When I was doing that, I was thinking about this. Have you seen any of the stuff of, what is it? Is it the Figure? All these sort of embodied AI, these sort of robots. I just was watching some footage of this robot trying to empty a dishwasher.
Oh, I've not seen that. No, was it? How successful was it?
Well, basically, I think it took it like 25 minutes or something. And I was just thinking, God, can you imagine trying to watch something? It was almost like watching sort of a drunk person trying to unload their dishwasher. And it takes like 25 minutes to get down to the level of it. And just all these things that we do as humans, that how to, we don't even know we're doing it. You can guess how heavy the bowl is, and you can sense if it's wet and how you would have to like change your grip. I do like the idea of having, an actual robot in my house doing all the housework for me, but just, God, the frustration of it. And just, you still need, and actually it's not, unloading the dishwasher is really easy, right? Actually, maybe doing a bank reconciliation is fairly straightforward, but it's actually, it's the decision making which is so valuable. It's like, you go around your house and you pick up, the kids' socks or whatever. You need to assess whether that's a wearable pair of socks. Does it go in the wash? Does it go in the laundry bin? Does it go back to their, bedroom or whatever? That's actually what you need the help with. And I think that's what bookkeepers will be doing, bookkeepers with the help of Jax.
I love the idea of bookkeepers as educators. Regardless of whether it's someone manually doing the bank reconciliation or it's an AI agent doing it for them, ultimately the value that the bookkeeper provides is understanding what's going on in that business and what the financial figures that they're looking at are telling them about the health of that business.
In a way that quite often business owners aren't getting that from the financial accountant or their sort of once a year accountant. The bookkeeper actually understands what those numbers mean to the business, and yes, can explain them.
Yeah, I'm quite obsessed with the idea of cadence at the moment. So
I love the word cadence. By the way, it's one of my favorite words. I actually wanted to call one of my kids Cadence. But I was like, Cadence Copeland maybe is just a bit like a character from a book or something. But
it does sound like a character from a book. But
I've got all day to talk about cadence.
Without going into too many trade secrets, every Monday we sit down, like the kind of commercial leadership team at Xero, and we review our performance and we look at the figures. And
you're doing really well, because they've been on LinkedIn, haven't they?
Well, thank you. But I guess in order to achieve that outcome, you have to kind of navigate what goes on a week-to-week and month-to-month basis. And I think it is that kind of cadence of reviewing the figures that enables you to realize that a decision needs to be made. I think we talk a lot about accurate financial data, giving you the ability to make better decisions. But what we talk about less is that actually you need to be able to know that there is a decision to be made in the first place. And I think like that's the advantage that a bookkeeper has, right? That they have this cadence that is more frequent, that allows them to intervene and to say, hey, like you might want to make a decision about this.
The frequent cadence. I like it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that sort of going back to that kind of, the cadence is one thing. And then that role of them being the educator, which I think is why I like your other names for MTD, but I've been calling it making bookkeeping mandatory. But I think their role within making tax digital is just so incredibly vital, because these businesses ultimately, if they're not already doing digital bookkeeping, this is essentially the government forcing them to get a piece of commercial software and use that throughout the year, not just once a year, and then actually file their tax through. I mean, actually, that is the major change. I mean, from the bookkeeper's perspective, there's hardly any change at all. If you're already doing your bookkeeping for clients, this is business as usual. But for those businesses, so I think the bookkeepers are really, really going to be instrumental in that helping small businesses adapt role.
I agree. There's, I think, huge opportunities for bookkeepers. I think I read some statistics this morning on Accounting Web that in the first tranche, 75% of business owners work with an advisor, whatever that means. But I think it tails off.
Probably, aren't they? Yeah, a lot of them.
I think some of them will be, yeah. But then it trails off, obviously, in the second tranche. And I've always thought that there's going to be
the word tranche for some reason. I find that quite difficult to say. But
okay.
You said it very well.
Cohort.
Right, cohort's a good one. Yeah.
Okay. Could that be a name for a child as well?
No.
Cohort and Copeland.
Cohort Copeland.
But I think, you know, even that 25% represents an interesting opportunity, and I just think that there's going to be probably this shifting of the tectonic plates where there are a bunch of people that go to their accountant and say, I'm not going to pay for this, and then they're probably going to go elsewhere and maybe try and do it themselves. There's going to be a bunch of people that say, hey, well, I don't want to do this, can somebody do it for me? And I think that's a huge opportunity for bookkeepers. And then there are going to be a bunch of people that currently do all of this themselves who will say, wow, this feels like a lot, even though it shouldn't do. And I think that's a huge opportunity for bookkeepers as well. But you got to have your digital processes set up right. I think anyone that thinks that they're going to take a block of 25 clients that currently show up once a year with a bag full of rubbish, and the answer is to get them to show up 4 times a year with a bag full of rubbish and continue to work on a spreadsheet is probably just in digital denial.
Yeah. I mean, what we've been saying is, you know, if you are this kind of once a year professional, maybe hook yourself up with a nice bookkeeper who's already got all those systems in place, understands how to get clients to give good data, scan their receipts and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, hook up with a great bookkeeper. Because I would imagine all those people, like you mentioned, that sort of first group, I'm going to call them, of people that are going to go to their accountant and say, no way, man, I don't want to do this 4 times a year. The problem is, if you're a once a year accountant, you don't know how to sell the value of digital bookkeeping because you also don't believe in it. You know, I think there's actually, for us, for ICB, our sort of education mission is to try to explain, maybe not explain, but how accountants understand the value of bookkeeping and how, you know, having that real-time data throughout the year is going to actually enable them to offer some better services potentially, or at least, you know, increase those touch points. And, you know, and also in accounting firms, I think sometimes accounting firms aren't putting their bookkeepers out in front of their clients. They're sticking the bookkeepers in the back office and not using them to their full potential, because it is, you know, like we said, bookkeepers understand the numbers because they're closest to them.
Well, you're preaching to the choir here. I agree with everything that you've just said. I guess I've got a question for you, Amy, which is, do you think that means that perhaps bookkeepers feel more positive, or feel like there might be more potential positive outcomes for them and their clients from MTD for income tax than accountants might do?
Yeah, you could pick any. You stick once. I'm talking about once a year accountants because they're very different, I think, from a lot of Xero accountants. One once a year accountant in the room with any of ICB's certified bookkeepers. And yeah, you wouldn't have to ask which is which. If you just said, are you feeling positive about making tax, income tax, the bookkeeper, you'd know exactly which one was the bookkeeper, basically. But I will be asking this question to Craig Ogilvie, head of MTD at HMRC, and just finding out from him, because actually he's said some really interesting stuff about just the sort of the massive difference in kind of mindset between bookkeepers and accountants. But for bookkeepers, you know, I think there's also, interestingly, there's been a lot of talk about, is this the moment where bookkeepers decide to be offering more tax services?
Yeah.
You know, they're already doing that anyway, so they are tax agents, but if you are going to be dealing with this, you're dealing with the revenue on a quarterly basis. You've got all those figures. I think the revenue thinks, oh, well, you're going to be giving everyone these forecasts on their tax liability. The HMRC is kind of saying, oh, it's sort of done for you, isn't it? It is an interesting moment in time, I would say.
I think it is interesting, and from a technology perspective, the final declaration will be in the core Xero subscription. So, arguably, this is a moment where you don't need to go and buy a big chunky bit of tax software to meet those obligations. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
So what else? So we should probably wrap up. Actually, it's 3 minutes too. What else should we be beelining to the Xero stand to talk about at the Bookkeepers Summit on Monday? And also virtually, you'll be there as well. We've got 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah. So big product topics for us are JAX, which we've already talked about. I think there's lots of excitement about SIFT, and the fact that we're starting to bundle that into our plans for our partners, and I think there's brilliant opportunities there to start to drip feed additional information to clients to see, gauge their interest in additional services. I think our Practice Hub is something that's worth having a look at, that is really starting to take shape. And of course, MTD. So we've got Harvey, who's one of our consultants, delivering a session on day 2 of the virtual summit, which is kind of on change management, which I think is kind of the heart of a lot of this. So yeah, those would probably be the big topics.
That's exciting. Yeah, change management. So yeah, we were sort of talking about putting a bit of change management into our level 4 qualifications, because I think that's sort of fundamental. Oh well, just a necessity, because change apparently is just going to keep happening.
Change is the only constant.
It is indeed. Yes. Well, okay. On that note, then, if it's all right with you, I'm going to leave it there and wish you all a very lovely afternoon and a very enjoyable rest of your weekend. If you haven't booked your tickets to the Bookkeepers Summit, you can still do it. Lucky you. I'm not entirely sure if you can still come to the in-person, but you might as well try. But we do have 2 digital days available as well. You'll get all the same networking, but you'll do it online, which for some people is easier and better. And the Xero team is going to be out in force. They're our diamond sponsors, and we're just so delighted to be hooking up with you guys in this, very exciting time. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you. I hope everyone has a fabulous conference.
Thank you. I feel like I could talk to you all day. Can't believe we had such a short period of time. So next time.
Next time.
Thank you so much.